down the basement, lock the cellar door, and baby, talk bloody to me.
Hi, and welcome to another exciting fan requested episode of Talk Bloody to Me. I'm Matt,
And I'm Brezzy.
and this week winter is coming to an end, spring is about to start, but we're saying the hell with spring. We're going straight to summer. I can't even keep our season straight. What the hell are we talking about today?
We're talking about Midsummer. That's why I'm wearing, well, Midsummer, but I look like Jenny from Forrest Gump. So,
Right. We was like peas and carrots.
uh,
So yeah, Breezy, for those of you just listening, has a outfit reminiscent of the outfits they wear towards the end of Midsummer with the dance
well,
competition and
yeah, this, but not really like this outfit.
oh yeah, well that's more Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Well, I don't have anything else to fit with it.
Right. Well, it still works. But
Yeah, it does.
we are talking about Midsummer. Um, this movie was weird and messed up. I ended up liking it a lot more than I actually thought I was going to like it. Um, what I thought this. When did you first? Okay. I just saw this for the first time this week, and we'll just say right away, spoiler alert. I'm probably going to spoil everything. So just if you haven't seen this and you don't want it to be spoiled, go see it now. But when did you first see this movie, Breezy?
When it came out.
Oh yeah, did you see it in the theater?
No, I actually did not. I actually seen it uh I think it was on Voodoo and I rented it.
Oh okay.
So that's the first time I seen it.
Yep. I just saw it this week. And so, in a nutshell, it's a group of college friends, a bunch of guys and the one's girlfriend, that go with their friend to remote Sweden for the Midsummer Festival. And things get really fucked up, basically, is what happens. And there's a lot of it's a little slow at times, but some of the imagery is just really graphic and really
Mhm.
brutal. And I actually really liked it a lot. Did I say that already? Spoiler alert, I liked it a lot.
Well, I like it, but yet then I hate it.
Right? Why is that?
I do why I say I like it because of the more so of the killing scenes because it is very graphic. Not as
Hmm.
graphic as Terrifier,
Right.
but that part, yes. But damn it, it is so slow.
Right. It's
They
there's
should cut out at least fucking like an hour and 30 minutes.
right. There,
Like,
there, there does seem to be some they could trim some fat on this. There's a
yeah.
lot of standing around. There's a lot of quiet, contemplative sort of shots. I think that does sort of contrast when it does get to like something more graphic and brutal that you spent all this time with just this kind of senses numbing dullness that all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, it kind of shocks you that much more because of it, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Um,
Did you know that the film actually was filmed at Budapest, Budapest, Hungary?
I did not know that.
I can't speak today either. But
That's
yes,
okay.
that's what. Even though they say it was Sweden, it actually was filmed in Budapest, Hungary.
Well, what the hell?
Yeah, I know,
So,
right?
so this movie starts off with Danny, who is played by Florence. I probably won't say any of the names right. Florence Pugh. Florence Pugh. Uh,
It's kind of
she
like French names.
right on. So she was also in Oppenheimer. She was his mistress, and she is the Black Widow's sister. I can't think of her name. I can't think of her name, but the Black Widow sister in Marvel, soon to be featured prominently in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. So she's like the main character, and she got a email from her sister that said she's leaving, taking mom and dad with her. So she calls her boyfriend Christian, played by Jack Rayner. I don't know him, for a little support, and he's not exactly the most supportive boyfriend in the whole world. He's like, "Look, she's done this shit before. Just fucking don't worry about it. Big whoop." and she's like, well, he can be a little more supportive, but okay, whatever. And then they show him with his friends, and it's clear that like he's just not really into this relationship. And he's talked about like none of them are like, oh, are you having problems with your girlfriend? They're all like, why haven't you broken up with her yet? And stuff like that. And then you find out that this time Danny's sister wasn't just talking crap. She actually did carbon monoxide poison herself and her parents. And so Danny lost her sister and her family all in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Such a tragedy. It's kind of an interesting shot with
Hmm.
like the tube going from the car exhaust and it's like duct taped to her mouth or something like that.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, so now he apparently now some time has passed. Christian's decided he can't break up with her this close after her family dies. She kind of finds out that they've been planning to go him and his two guy friend, well, actually three guy friends. The one is from Sweden, and he invited him and the two other guys to go to Sweden for to participate in the Midsummer Festival, and the one's going to write his thesis about it, and it's going to be a hey time, and they're leaving in like a week, and he's never once brought it up to his girlfriend, and she's like, were you going to tell me about this? And he's like, oh yeah, totally, you're invited along. And she's like, am I though? And he's like, oh yeah, totally. And then he tells his friends like, I invited her with, but she's not coming. And he's just like an asshole like from start to
Mm,
finish.
yeah, he was a real dick.
Like the movie does a good job of like, we are going to make this guy into the biggest effing dick around so that later on we can say hypothetically shove him in a bear suit and stick him in a house. But we'll get to that. But, anyway, some of his other friends, one is named Mark, and he is played by Will Poulter, who is on the show Shameless and is also was on Gotham. He played Jerome, which is kind of a version of the Joker. Um, there's Pele, I think is his name, from the guy from Sweden, played by Wilhelm Blomgren. Sounds like he's genuinely Swedish. And then William Jackson Harper is Josh. So she ends up, Pele talks her into going with, and so they all go to Sweden. They meet up with another guy, friend of his from London, who was traveling in London, brought two friends with. All right, now this is the slow part. This is where Breezy's like, we can cut an hour and a half of this movie because I
No,
feel like
even
I
at the beginning. No, even
this
at
feel
the
like a half
beginning.
hour, right? Yeah. So they get to the festival, and there's people, and there's lots of stuff going on, and there's hootenanny, and oh, it's festival-y, and whatnot, and hey, and it's weird, and then he says, I feel like I'm missing like 30 minutes, but we'll fast forward.
When they got there, they were like taking well, they were like looking at the stuff and what they were doing.
Oh
But the
yeah,
guy, like the two that I guess like the two this tourist guy or something like that they brought him there, the
yeah.
group of friends there. At first I think they were having like really, really troopy ass fucking shrooms because Joe, you
Oh, that's
remember?
right. They
He's
took
like, here,
shrooms.
take this. And then they all take and they're like, oh my gosh. So they're like tripping on some like shrooms or something.
He's like, the sun's not setting. Why isn't the sun setting? I'm
Yeah.
gonna lay down. Everyone lay down. I'd be like, dude, shut up. But okay, so they're gonna take shrooms, and Danny's like, "Oh, I don't want to do it." And then her boyfriend is like, "Oh, well then I won't do it either." And then Mark is like, "Well, we gotta do it at the same time, or else it'll be different trips." And that's bullshit, just off the record, or PS, just like so I can say. If your friends don't want to do drugs, don't pressure them into them. Say, okay, you can watch us. Keep an eye on us. Make sure we don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this is just a movie. But anyway, I had a little get on my soapbox for a second there. But
Let it out, Matt. Let it out.
exactly. So there's a lot of drug use in this movie, and anyway, but eventually he says we got to get. They talks about the summer queen, and they do this every 90 years, which seems like it's an incredibly long time because they all know how to do this stuff really well. It seems more like it's every year, but anyway, get to the part where he says tomorrow's going to be a bit weird. They get to a cliff and they're reading some holy ceremony, and there's two elderly people standing at the top of the cliff, and the one old lady stands at the edge of the cliff, and then whee, she jumps off, and everyone's all shocked for a second, and then splat, and
Yeah,
boy,
right on
is
the rock.
right on the rock, and they show her like her head like completely caves in and her body bounces back and you see like her completely smashed open face. It's extremely graphic, extremely gory, and it's meant to be shocking, and after all this like festival, summer queen, blah blah blah, here we're doing this, we're doing it, just kind of comes, it's just like wham, and so it has that sort of impact where it's just like wow, I'm awake now. And because before this, he was talking about how their life is the four seasons, and when you're born to when you're, I don't remember the exact age, it's 18, that's like the spring of your life, and you're a child. And then when you're 18 to 36, that's the summer of your life, and you travel like he's doing at college. And then when you're 37 to 60, whatever, that's the fall of your life when you're working for the community. And then whatever to 72 is the winter of your life. And then someone's like, what happens when when you're 72? And then he never answers their question. Well, apparently, this is what happens when you're 72. Um, you go to carousel. In this case, you jump off a cliff and smash your face open.
How do you like that elderly man? Like he jumps off the cliff, but he's like he doesn't die or whatever. He's like just sitting there like
Yeah.
and then they come with that sledgehammer and just like bash his head over and over and over again. And just like it like when if you actually look at it, it looks so like fakeish looking,
Uh-huh.
but it's like so graphic at the same time. It was like, okay, for one, your face won't look like that. It'll
Right.
be all like,
Right. Like it doesn't look gooey enough. It looks almost like
yeah.
it cracked like a jaw, like porcelain or something.
Mm-hmm.
And not like skin, but it is still pretty graphic. Yeah, he has no commitment. See, she went balls to the wall, face first, right off of that thing, smashed her head on the rock. But he wiener kind of piddle hopped off at feet first, and so then he landed on his legs and was laying there going ah. And they do show his leg is like completely ripped off and laying next to him. That's pretty gory.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's three
Yep.
people. And so I don't know if that's his kids or his relatives or who they are, but they come with a big, they say, stop, hammer time. And then they come with a big wooden mallet and and after like the first one, the second one for sure, there's like nothing left of his head. The third one is just
No.
basically just for principle because he's just basically hitting bush at that point. And so then they're like, "What the hell?" And they're like, "Oh, well, this is just our culture, and this is the ceremony, and they're giving way to new life, and they're offering their sacrifice and life and the cycle and the this and the that." And then Danny like talks to her boyfriend. She's like, "Aren't you shocked by this?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but I'm just trying to be cool about it. It's a different culture." Like he doesn't give a shit. Like, you know. And then
Yeah,
he
you're trying to respect the culture, but at the same time, it's like, what the hell?
yeah.
Like this is not okay for a culture. But
Right. So then he decides he's going to write his thesis on this festival, even though that had been Josh's plan all along, and they have a little bit of a spat over it. And then all of a sudden, the two get people from the guy from London. Oh, he was really shocked at the whole jumping off the cliff ceremony. He said him and his girlfriend were leaving. All of a sudden, he's gone, and his girlfriend's looking for him, can't find him. And the people are like, "Oh, we drove him to the bus station, and he went home." And she's like, "Well, he wouldn't just leave without saying goodbye to me." And they're like, "Oh, well, there was only room for two in the truck, and we couldn't find." And she's like, "That's bullshit. That doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't just leave." And they're like,
mhm.
"Nope, that's what happened. That's what happened. All right." And like they just you can tell she doesn't believe it, or and if she does believe it, it's like, what the hell? Why would my boyfriend just leave me here? It's like you don't want it to be true. And then so then Danny goes and tells her boyfriend, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a bummer." So anyway, speaking of couples, do you guys do incest around here or what? And like he just does not give a crap. At some point it's revealed that there's like a teenage girl is like checking him out and is into him. I think it's the other guy's sister or something. And
I think yeah, that that red hair. She was a red hair too.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I hope to God that doesn't affect me because I'm a redhead and
Do you
she was
ever
screwed up.
do you ever
She
make
screwed up.
pie? Do you ever bake pie for people, Breezy?
No.
Do you remember what was in the pie she made?
Yeah, it was pubes.
Yeah, she made him a pube pie, a pie with her pubes, and he told the like one of the leaders about it. Like, I think I ate her pubic hair, and she's like, yeah, that sounds about right. She's like, that sounds likely,
Yeah,
and she's
that
young too.
that
They make a point that she's like, I mean, it's gross regardless, but it's super gross.
I think it's like when you think about it, again, that's probably their culture
Right,
but I think it's like, hey, I'm going to get ready to have sex, to make a woman or something like that, and
right.
then to like pick a guy, like pluck one strand of pube hairs and put it in the pie, and then whatever guy eats it, well, I guess you're fucking her in front of fucking 10 women, naked
Right.
women.
Yeah.
It is it's an awkward scene.
Hmm.
Two, it's like fucked up too.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
definitely.
Yeah.
You're fast forwarding a little bit. We'll
Yeah, I know, but
put
it's
a pin
just
in that. We'll get to that. But you're exactly right. But yeah, so he Pele, whatever his name, explains to Christian helpful or that she just had her Bjorn festival or whatever the hell it's called. So she's able to choose a mate and have sex. And he's like, "Wow, thanks for telling me that your young sister is able to do that. I'm ready to eat her pubes now." And then so they talk about, the woman from London is missing. Oh, she went to go. They took her to the airport too. It got all figured out. Don't worry about it. And then our boy Mark decides he's gonna go take a leak, and he's peeing on a dead tree, which causes a complete spaz attack because it was the sacred dead tree that contained the souls of all the ancestors of all the people with the things and the
and he didn't
stuff.
know either.
He didn't have any clue. No one said,
He
"Hey,
didn't
by
know.
the way, don't ever pee on that tree over there. That's a really important tree." It just was like a dead log laying there. And so he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go take a
Mhm.
leak." And so the one guy's just like screaming and crying about it. And then anyway, he gets taken off by some girl that had been into him. Maybe he went to go eat some pube pie. But you don't see him anymore. And then Josh is looking at their sacred book, the holy relic, and they say you can't look at it. And then you find out that there's a guy that's like has severe like birth defects, and they say he's inbred. And they have one member of the community that's inbred, that's their oracle, and he draws pictures, and they interpret the pictures, and that's their holy book. And but he's forbidden to look at him, but he can't resist. He goes to take a look at the book, and all it is just like they showed the guy finger painting. It's just blobs of like
Mhm.
mess. There's like nothing. And then oops, he gets snuck up on from behind, blammo. So that's the end to him. Then it's the May Queen Festival. They take some sort of hallucinogenic tea and they dance. And the last one remaining dancing is the May Queen. Turns out it's Danny. Yay! Meanwhile, her boyfriend Christian also gets
Dude,
hallucinogenic tea.
that would get me so like freaking like dizzy. Like I don't know how long they supposed to I don't know how long they're supposed to do that, but with
Yeah,
all the dancing and getting all like wherever it was in a tea and stuff,
yeah.
that would get me so dizzy.
Yeah, imagine drinking like a few Mike's Hard Lemonades, pounding them, and then dancing and twirling in circles and bumping into each other, kind of like a weird sort of old school medieval mosh pit, and whoever's left standing is the winner kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Yep.
And so she wins. Her boyfriend is whacked out of his gourd. He even didn't want it. This is the one part where I have the tiniest bit of sympathy because he said, "I don't want to have a bad trip," and she's like, "No, no, just do it anyways." It's like, but he was a dick the whole entire movie, so fuck him. But
Yep.
so he's whacked out of his gourd, and the old guy claps his hands in front of his face, and he can't even react. So then he like signals, like, "Yeah, it's time," and he says, "Oh, the May Queen gets to go ride in her flower carriage around town and be the queen of the ball." And she's like, "Can my boyfriend come with me?" And they're like, "No, he's got something else he's going to be doing. Don't worry about it." So
Yep.
they take her off, and now we get to what Breezy was mentioning earlier, the having sex with the 15-year-old girl or however old she is in front of like 10 naked old women of the tribe, and one like literally holds his hand and looks him in the eye like while he's doing it, and they all are like mimicking the moans. They're all like going uh, uh, uh. And then Danny comes back from her May Queen ride, and guess what
What?
she
Yeah,
happens to see?
yeah, but you're missing a part.
Oh, I probably yeah.
You're missing a part.
Which part am I missing?
So like, so yeah, they were holding his hands and doing that molding,
Uh-huh.
but also when he was just about to, ejaculate,
Uh-huh.
that you see that like girl, that old lady was just pushing his buttocks
Oh
just
yeah.
into her.
Yeah. Well, you gotta
I'm like,
get a
what?
little assistance from the rear end, a little back pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
after he's done, she's like sitting there, like the redhead. She
Uh-huh.
was like sitting there, like had her um like legs against her, and she was like doing like this, like rocking back and forth. I'm like, what the
And she's like,
hell?
she says, I can feel the baby inside me.
Yeah, fuck it. It's just
So
okay.
uh, Danny happened to see all that and has a mental breakdown, which you would do probably. A person
Mhm.
would probably happen if you saw an old lady pushing your boyfriend's ass, giving him a little extra help with the impregnation. Um, so then so they give him something that paralyzes him. So he's alive, but he can't move or talk. He's paralyzed.
Yep.
And so then they have the big final ceremony. She's in all her flowers, and they say, okay, we have to sacrifice 9 people, and 4 come from the community, and it's the 2 old people that jumped off the cliff, and now these 2 have volunteered. Also, 4 from outside of the community. That was the 2 London people and Mark and Jack. He found his foot in a flower bed, and the one London guy was hanging naked, like skinned in a chicken coop with chickens in his back. And they're like making planters out of the dead bodies with like fruit and twigs and stuff stuck in them and making little decorations. So that was the 4 from out of town, and now they need one chosen by the May Queen herself, and they have a group of people she can choose from, and front and center of the group and people she can choose from is her paralyzed boyfriend that she just saw getting ass shoved into the impregnation zone. So, guess who she picks?
Oh yeah, I don't blame her on that one. I'm like,
Oh
I'll pick
yeah,
her too.
right, exactly. And then they really briefly at the beginning of the movie they had shown a bear in the cage, and the one guy said, "What's the bear for?" And they never talk about it ever again. So now they show a dad teaching his kids how to cut a bear open and skin it and do this, and like the rituals and the traditions are being handed down. And then you see good old Christian shoved inside the dead bear, like he's wearing a big bear costume, and he's inside this triangle house, and the 2 volunteers are in there, and the dead bodies that have been made into planters and chicken coops are in there. And then they light that whole son of a bitch on fire, and he's
Mhm.
burned alive in his bear suit. And then the one guy that's one of the volunteers is like, ah, ah, and it's pretty
They were like
graphic.
kind of screaming in a
Yeah,
way. They were
yeah,
all were.
yeah. There's like a thing they do throughout the movie, like whenever they're doing like a ritual thing, they'll like copy the sounds and the noises. Like when they're doing the sex
Mhm.
thing, they copy the moans. And like when the old man jumps off the cliff and isn't dead, they all kind of like start going like, "Yeah," like crying and moaning and stuff. So that's kind of like a
Yep.
thing throughout the movie where they like copy this, the whole group like copies the sounds of what's happening or whatever. So they all
Mhm.
start screaming and yelling and stuff because the place is burning. And then they show Danny is sad, but then she smiles because she has a new family. And the end. That's Midsummer.
Yep.
I like it actually. It's fucked up. It's a little slow, but I like it.
Yeah, it is fucked up. Like I said, I'm like, when I watch it again, yes, but not like continuously.
Right.
But when this fan request, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't want to, but this is a fan request. I'm like, I told you, Matt, that this is gonna be slow, fucked up. And I really don't want to do this one, but we're going to do it.
So thank you, fan, for requesting this because otherwise this would not have happened. Breezy was really dragging her feet on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yep.
so one interesting thing that I noticed, um, and then I actually looked it up on the internet to see if other people thought this, and apparently this is a thing that other people have thought of, but they say that the Oracle is a product of inbreeding and that he draws in his book and that they interpret the book as the the scripture or whatever, and there's the person with the birth defects, and he does the finger paint splotches in the book. But throughout the whole movie, Pele is drawing in a book. He draws a picture of Danny and gives it to her for her birthday, and all throughout different points in the movie, they show him drawing in the book. And I'm like, what if he's actually the Oracle, or what if he's the real Oracle, or what? And what if he, which would mean he was inbred, and he said that his parents died in a fire, and what if they were volunteers to be burned up like the other two? But that doesn't go with if they only do this every 90 years. But there is some people that think that he might be a future oracle or the true oracle or a potential oracle, which would mean he's inbred. But hey,
I
and
can
at
see
the
that
end,
happening actually.
what's that?
I can see that. I can see that happening.
Yeah. Oh, and at the end of the movie, he has like a big crown on his head, like a big green like wreath on his head, and they say like he's so honored because he brought new blood to the community and new sacrifices and stuff. So that's the fan theory that is out there. So
Yeah. What would you
we're
rate it?
I I'm gonna give it a 9. I really, really liked it a lot. It made me think, which I always like about a movie. I had questions after I watched it, which I always like about a movie. But man, there are some parts that are just like, wow, just like take a little nap. But so I have to dock at 1 point for that. But other than that, it's really good and I really like it. I almost want to give it a 10, but I'm gonna give it a 9.
I would give mine a 7.
Nice.
I know people are gonna hate me, but you know what? I don't care. I just don't care. I do like the killing scenes. I do like the cult feeling of it.
Mhm.
I just don't like how dragged out it is.
Yeah.
Like they should have like speed up.
And this is very much a more like serious, where you think of it. This isn't like Chucky, like saying,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah,
making one-liners and stuff like that.
yeah, it makes you think, well, especially the first time seeing it, because
Uh-huh.
it actually made me think of it quite a bit after my first time seeing it. But the second time seeing it, I'm like, I didn't really think it through, but
Right.
yeah,
Well, seeing you in that outfit and knowing you're a redhead, I'm just gonna be careful about any pies that you try to give me.
really no. Absolutely not.
Okay. You're like the podcast is canceled after that remark. Just
No, we
kidding.
can keep going.
Okay. Okay, good. Phew. So so there you have it. Midsummer. I think
Hmm.
it's just called Midsummer, but I always want to say Midsummer because it's got an O in it, and that's just
Oh
how I
yeah,
am.
the O is silent.
Yeah, Midsummer.
Did you did you know that the Ari Aster, whatever his name is, he actually made her that movie Hereditary.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Is that also A24 movie?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. Because this one was an A24.
Yep. Nice. All right. So
Which
there
I have
you
seen that too. Have you?
Hereditary.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know what happens. I know the whole movie. It's been ruined. It's been spoiled for me. I know all about
Uh
stop signs and cars and or traffic posts or whatever the hell it is. So, but I'll have to watch it so I can see it.
yeah, it's a decent one.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Thanks so much for listening. We love it when you like and share and subscribe and follow and tell all your friends about us. And St. Patrick's Day is coming soon, so stay
Ooh.
tuned.
Actually next week.
Oh yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.